Good morning, good evening, friends. Welcome to my channel, Ek Kitab Se Ek Moti. Today I'm going to read a few paragraphs from the book Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive. And the subtitle of this book is Outsell, Outmanage, Outmotivate, and Outnegotiate Your Competition. This has been written by Harvey Mackay, and it has been published under the series Collins Business Essentials. So before I read a few portions from this book, let me just read some of the recommendations or some of the applause that this book has received from some really famous men and women. It's one of the best self-help books I've ever read. Larry King. Harvey Mackay is a master of brief, biting, and brilliant business wit and wisdom. Tom Peters, and there's another one from Wall Street Journal. A one-of-a-kind book by a business legend who has been there and can show you how to get there too. His book gives to the point parables about making your business and personal life a success. USA Today. So these are some of the praise or applause that the book has received. So let me just read this chapter, and then I'll discuss a few things, and then I'll also talk about this person, Harvey Mackay. So let me just read it first. If you don't have a destination, you will never get there. Setting goals is simply a long-term version of keeping track of your time. Actually, a 3-step process is involved. Setting goals, that's 1. 2. Developing a plan to achieve those goals. And 3. Keeping track of your time to make sure your plan gets executed. When I was in Japan in 1983, we had a series of seminars in which we heard speeches from the leaders of Japan's largest industrial concerns. We heard from the top officers of Honda, Sony, Mitsubishi, and the head of the biggest enterprise of all, the 88-year-old president of Matsushita Electric. Persuading them to speak to us was quite a coup, because the Japanese system is much more rigidly structured than ours, and they regard appearing before the troops in this fashion as somewhat beneath their dignity. Now, there are cultural differences in countries, so we cannot expect the same kind of openness in all cultures. Different countries have different traditions, so we need to respect that. Respect those traditions. And if giving speeches was regarded as a crude Occidental custom, imagine how they felt about answering questions. But when our 88-year-old headliner addressed us, he spoke eloquently and profoundly. Then came the questions. Question: Mr. President, does your company have long-range goals? Answer: yes. Question: how long are your long-range goals? Answer: 250 years. So it actually goes beyond one's lifetime. So a long-range goal such as this will take generations to accomplish. That is, it outlives a lifetime of anyone. These goals are extremely long-range goals. Answer: 250 years. Question: what do you need to carry them out? Answer: patience. Sounds like a joke, but if it's so funny, how come every time we compete with them, they bury us? That is, the Japanese products are considered extremely competitive. Bury us in a sense, like they outperform the products manufactured in the U.S. As it says, outsell, outmanage, outmotivate, and outnegotiate your competition. Everybody and every business needs. Everybody and every business. Oh, I think it's fine. It's and, the conjunction and, so the verb is fine. Everybody and every business need a set of basic goals and beliefs, but most of us are seat of the pants, one day at a time operators. Our goals are fuzzy and our plans for achieving them non-existent. Now there is a a kind of slang here, seat of the pants. So I checked the meaning. So it means done or made by using your own judgment and feelings without planning, preparation, or help from others. So that's what seat of the pants means. Our goals are fuzzy and our plans for achieving them non-existent. Microsoft says it will deliver on its mission through embracing 7 core values. Now, there are 7 points here: broad customer connection, a global inclusive approach, excellence, trustworthy computing, great people with great values, innovative and responsible platform leadership, enabling people to do new things. Add to that formula 2 powerful pieces of wisdom from standard bearer Bill Gates. Your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning. The first rule of any technology used in a business is that automation applied to an efficient operation will magnify the efficiency. The second is that automation applied to an inefficient operation will magnify the inefficiency. Nothing unrealistic there. Your personal plans and goals don't even have to be that complicated. How about a goal like improving your sales ranking 1 quartile, or adding X more accounts, Y more income, Z more total sales? If that kind of basic planning and goal setting has helped make Microsoft the Microsoft of business, shouldn't you be doing it too? One of my good friends gave me her definition of a goal, and it's the best one I have ever heard. A goal is a dream with a deadline. Write yours down, because that's the only way you'll give them the substance they need to force you to carry them out. So let's just discuss the things we just read. But before that, just a few words about Harvey Mackay. Now, I didn't know about this person. I didn't know much about him. I heard about him when I was listening to one of the talks delivered by Jeffrey Gitomer, who is one of my favorite authors. I read many of his books occasionally, and my favorite book is the Little Gold Book of Yes Attitude, on which I made a video as well. So Jeffrey Gitomer talked about the positive influence that Harvey Mackay had on him. So I just researched this person, and I came across an interview. So I think Larry King interviewed Harvey Mackay a few years ago. When Harvey Mackay was interviewed by Larry King, I think he was in his 80s. That is, Harvey Mackay was in his 80s, if I'm not mistaken. And he still had extreme enthusiasm. That is, his enthusiasm was infectious, and he seemed to be a motivated man even at that age. In his 80s, or maybe in his late 80s, that is, he was almost nearing 90. Again, I might be wrong about the numbers here, but the idea is that although he was in his 80s, or he was nearing 90s, he still maintained his enthusiasm for success in his chosen field. So I really liked the way he presented his ideas, and especially his enthusiasm for succeeding in life. So you too can watch his interview. Just Google, maybe you could just type Larry King, Harvey Mackay interview, and you should be able to listen to that interview. Now, let's just discuss what we talked about. So there are 3 things that he talks about at the beginning of this chapter. One is setting goals. The other is developing a plan to achieve those goals. And the third thing is keeping track of your time to make sure your plan gets executed. So as I've often said in my videos, that a goal is a kind of an image, or a kind of picture of what you want to become, or of what you want to have, where you want to go, or what you want to give, or any other thing, whatever you can conceive and believe you can achieve. That's a famous line from the book Think and Grow Rich. So the first thing is conception, or this idea. That is, you need to have some form of picture, some form of image, some form of testable thing in your mind. For example, if you set a goal, and once you achieve that goal, you should be able to know that you've achieved it. And for that, you will need, there are some birds here chirping, so I hope That's fine. That's really nice background music for my video. So I was talking about this image making process or this visualization. So your form, the picture that you have in your mind or the image that you have in your mind should be testable. That is, you should know when reality becomes similar or identical with your image in your mind. That is, when both these correspond, you know that you've achieved your goal. So your what is goal achievement? It is just trying to make that image a reality. You are trying to change the world so that it becomes what you have imagined it to be, not just the world, even yourself. So you might want to develop your speaking skills. So that's a kind of image with sounds. And when I say image, it also means some kind of sensory things that you have in your mind which you can test. For example, if you want to be a very good speaker of a new language or a language which you do not know well, then you will know when you have achieved that goal, when you are able to hear yourself speaking fluently. So that's a sensory thing. So most of these goals are sensory things that can be tested. Even in science, you have this principle of verification, right? So they test the hypothesis and then it becomes a theory and so on. That's a scientific method. But anyhow, what I'm trying to say is the first step is to have some image in your mind of what you want to be, what you want to have, and so on. The next thing is you need to have a plan. That is, you need to be able to decide how you're going to make this thing a reality. So there should be some step-by-step procedures that you need to document. It's better to document things so that you can really measure your progress. So you can use Excel sheets, you can use a lot of other tools that are available in the market, or you can just use pen and paper or pencil and paper, the old, good old, tools that have been of help to humanity for centuries. So you can use pen and paper or pencil and paper and then document your procedure of how you're going to make that a reality. And then the other thing is keeping track of your time to make sure your plan gets executed. So we also, for example, if it's a 1-year goal, so you decided to become a better speaker of a language within a year, then you'll have to monitor your progress, maybe weekly or every month at least. You are not going to monitor, you're not going to achieve your goal if you're going to monitor your progress, let's say, just twice. Let's say at the end of the first 6 months and then at the end of the second 6 months. That will just be daydreaming. So it's very important to measure your progress. So these are the 3 things that you need to achieve success. There are quite a few other things that he mentions, which are significant. One thing is long-range goals. Now, if someone can set a 250-year goal, that means that person is thinking of a goal that will be accomplished once they have lived their lives. That is, after they have passed away, they have gone from this earth. So it's not that all goals should be focused on ourselves. We can have goals for our country, for our if you're a businessman, you'll have a goal for your company long after you're gone. A goal that outlives your life. It survives even after you're gone. Similarly, for example, Peter J. Daniels has a 200-year goal in mind. So there are many people who have extremely long-range goals. So these might also be something that you can try depending on which field you are in. So for example, you can think of writing books which will be continued, which will continue to be published long after we are gone, right? I mean, we can do something like that. And some of the other things that have been mentioned are these. There's one rule of efficiency that I saw actually. So this is slightly, this is a slight digression, but I'll just mention it. So what technology does is, if you are good at something, technology will help you become better at it. So you will be speeding towards, or you'll be kind of dashing towards or rushing towards your goals using technology. That is, you'll be increasing your pace. You'll be accelerating towards your goal with the use of technology. So that will accelerate your progress. But if you If you're not good at something, if you're bad at something, then technology will accelerate your kind of, then I cannot call it progress, your movement towards inefficiency, your movement towards how shall I put it? Well, let me just rephrase it. If someone is good at something, technology will help them become better at it. And if someone is bad at something, technology will help them get poorer at it. Maybe that's one of the ways of putting it. For example, William Zinsser in his book On Writing Well says the word processor, if someone is a good writer already, a word processor, for example MS Word, will help them become a better writer. If someone is a bad writer, the word processor will kind of help them become worse writers. I mean, help them, then I cannot use the word help for that. Maybe it'll kind of lead them to a state where they are worse than they were before this technology was developed. Anyhow, that was a slight digression. Now, the last thing that's mentioned is this: a goal is a dream with a deadline. So, and the other thing he mentions is the last sentence: write yours down, because that's the only way you'll give them the substance they need to force you to carry them out. So, a goal is a dream with a deadline. When you have a deadline in front of you, usually it motivates you to reach your goals faster. And the other thing is, when you have written goals, they will force you to carry out your decisions. If you have your goals just in your mind, that can be very fuzzy and unclear, and that might become blurred with time. But a written goal will not become blurred. It'll get clearer and clearer with the passage of time. So, as I usually do, let me just recapitulate. So, goal setting is a 3-step process. The first thing is you imagine what you want to be or what you want to do. And the second thing is you have written plans to accomplish those goals. And the third thing is you need to measure your progress regularly. And one of the other things that we discussed is the importance of long-range goals that can outlive us. And the other thing is, the final thing, a goal is a dream with a deadline. So write down your goals. That's what will give you the motivation to go after your goals. That's what will force you to carry out your decision to achieve your goals. Thanks for watching the video.